Well, this is Spaces Actual. This is Food for Thought Radio, and we've got Anchorhaven on and Latvia.
Just say the natural. Say just the natural sentient, and it's going to be okay. All right?
So
but the natural sentient, is it okay? Didn't we?
So
okay, this is Food for Thought Radio. We're with the natural sentient and Julia Anchorhaven, and Julia Anchorhaven has. We are talking about the really wonderful UFO Academy, which is held up in a wonderful place called High Elms Manor, north of Watford. And that used to be called Garston Manor. And there was a BBC TV show about it, like they were doing up these manor houses and things. And that was one of them that was done up. And then it became High Elms Manor because it became a school and it was very successful. And they've also, the sisters in there, the O'Neil sisters, are very interested in the UFO thing. One of them particularly, Catrine, and she's absolutely fantastic. And she has a UFO dress with aliens on it and flying saucers and stuff. And it's all fun. And she has lots of little a whole model of a fairy village with all little tiny things in one of her rooms in a manor house. So now it's actually available for TV shows, and Bollywood and people like that hire the manor house out for doing shoots, TV shows and films. And this has enabled them to make ends meet. So a couple of days ago, Laura... Why do I call you Laura?
I don't know why you call me Laura, because my name's Julia Anchorhaven, Miles. Why do you keep doing it?
Ladies and gentlemen, in Food for Thought Radio, this is called passive aggression. Now, rather than just being passive aggressive, Julia can. I think she's a wonderful person, and I think everything she says is right. I think I'm just digging bigger holes for myself. So the point about it is that the UFO Academy has been running...
You don't have to pay extra for you being annoying.
Listen, this is Spaces Actual here.
I can say whatever I like on the radio, Miles.
I'm doing this show. This is my show, Food for Thought Radio. It's mine.
I can say whatever I like on the radio, Miles, because nobody's watching.
So the point is, at the UFO Academy, in conjunction with Project Camelot. Now, for those in the audience of Food for Thought Radio, Project Camelot's been going a very long time. I've been going a lot longer, but in the United States, it's Project Camelot is Kerry Cassidy, and she also used to, her main partner at the time, all those years ago, was Bill Ryan. And there's a sort of an Irish name sort of contained in there, although both of them are Americans. And they've been doing an awful lot of stuff called Whistleblower Radio and a whole lot of other things like that. And it's been, as with the Basis Project, which started in 1994, we've been digging up some really hardcore stuff. Big stuff, very important stuff. Now, we've just finished a conference. A couple of the speakers weren't able to make it. So I recommended a very good speaker that spoke at Bases 2026 in the Bouverie Hall in Pusey just a couple of weeks, a month ago now. And she is also very, very heavily involved with the secret space program stuff. Secret space program, Nachtwaffen, that's the German secret space program going back to before World War II. So this could be very heavy stuff. So as a consequence of one of the speakers not being able to make it, I recommended that Julia, who has got a commanding voice and presence, should open the show on the Saturday. And her friend or partner in crime from Slovakia speak up, girl. Say something.
It's Slavka, the natural sentient. Thank you, Miles, for having me.
Yes. So I've got the two ladies who were at the conference, and I have to say, I was interviewed in the company of, i.e. sitting beside a fantastic speaker from Marlborough called Maria Wheatley, and she is really sucking diesel. Insofar that you can suck diesel in the United States or anywhere else. That's an expression from Northern Ireland where you've got the hammer down and your 18-wheeler truck is sucking diesel and you're accelerating and it's all engines firing, all cylinders.
She's a badass. She is. Maria Wheatley is a badass. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this section of the show tonight, we're going to actually have Catrine on, and we're going to have her on later or earlier. So the bottom line is, Julia, you two girls, Slavka,
my friend Slavka, the natural sentient, is also got her own podcast. Just like my podcast is Anchorhaven Debrief, Slavka's got the natural sentient podcast, yeah?
Yeah, thank you, Julia.
So we got two people who cooperate, and they both have their own online shows. And really, take it away, ladies. Should I even say that?
So Slavka and I were very excited to attend the Awake and Aware Conference 2026 by Kerry Cassidy, Project Camelot. We were excited to meet up because Slavka lives in Europe and I live in the United Kingdom. So we made plans to meet up, and I was going to vend. So bringing my wares, I have crystals and cards and things like that. So I paid a vending fee, and Slavka got a ticket to see the talk. So she got the talk ticket and I got the vendor ticket. So I was very surprised to be asked to do a talk. So thank you so much, Miles, for putting me forward for that. It's not every day that Kerry Cassidy comes storming towards you and say, you're going to talk for 30 minutes in 30 minutes time. Is that okay? And you're like, yes, it is, Kerry Cassidy. Thank you so much. She has no idea who I was at all. So, but thank you for recommending me. That was great.
The food for thought people, please understand that Kerry Cassidy is from California, okay?
Yeah. She's very strict, but she was lovely, really lovely, very supportive. So I did a 15 to 20 minute talk about, with no notes, no notice Burley, no notes, no presentation prepared, just standing there with the microphone talking about my life, which is a mixture of a cover life and a covert life in the secret space programs, military abduction, all that kind of weird stuff. So nobody really knew what to expect. They were all unaware of who I was, apart from about 5 people.
Well, that's the whole point of the show. I mean, it's Awake and Aware. But the other little thing is, that if you haven't noticed, you're actually from England. You know.
Yes, I'm from England. Yes, the Northwest.
From a farming and a food for thought point of view, to have somebody like you on stage in a mansion house or a manor house in north of Watford, talking about this stuff is a big deal. This is hardcore secret space program, cloning, multiple clones, the whole lot. So, okay, go ahead.
So people were quite shocked because only about 5, maybe less, maybe more than 5 knew who I was and aware of me from Basis TV. Everybody else there was very new to them. They'd not really heard about a secret space program or Kerry Cassidy's early work, talking, Aaron McCullum and other people like that she'd interviewed at Project Camelot. So Kerry Cassidy is quite foundational when it comes to these topics, but nobody was really expecting me to do it. So when she'd asked me, what do you do? And I said, I'm an experiencer and I have ties in with these programs. She was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, can I put some photos on the screen? And she said, no, you don't need it. So I just went up there and did my thing. And one of the guests said to me, your voice is different when you're presenting. And it is. I have command syntax in my voice. So I can stand and give a briefing and it activates your energetic field. So the people in the audience who are super soldiers, they had an activation listening to my voice, and people came to me afterwards and said, I really felt that activation. I felt my energy change when you were talking. I could feel my emotions changing as you were talking. So it's literally like when Drago Reed was at Bases 2025 and he was on stage, I got that same kind of activation from his voice, and it upgraded and it started to unlock memories. Yeah, that kind of thing. So somebody said to me, your voice was so different. It was very commanding. You're very fast talking, and your delivery was like very clear. And yes, it is. So I am a seasoned public speaker, but I generally talk about ascension, crystals, awakening, that kind of thing. But as my story is unfolding, as my testimony is becoming clearer, my memories are coming forward, I can now use those skills to get the message out there that these are terrible things that are going on here in the UK. Right? People don't expect super soldiers to be based in the UK, but MK Ultra and all that started in the UK in the 1920s. And that's one of the things I talked about in my presentation.
Well, Julia, the whole point about this was that it was British intelligence that found the Germans were working in labs at the close of the war in 1944 with strange-looking humans. They didn't call them aliens, and they talked about a strange machine. And this was all brought to this country, that's the UK, to Wiltshire, to Berkshire. And this is what they've been doing in the underground labs at Portendown and associated bases. There's a whole infrastructure dedicated to this and a whole subtle background to our broadcasting and a whole communications infrastructure. And now at this time, we're in a lot of trouble. A lot of laws have been passed, and they're putting up these huge data centers. The data centers are not for us. They're for the cyborgs. So, okay, let's keep going on this.
Yeah.
This is Basis Actual on Food for Thought Radio.
So I think some people may be under the impression that those unacknowledged special access programs apply to America and Canada, and they don't really think they apply in the UK, but that's not true. A lot of the super soldiers that you see in those Monarch programs working for Monarch Solutions or Kruger mercenaries, they are UK, they're British super soldiers that get kind of farmed out in a way into programs all across the planet. They really do. So I touched on, in a very short amount of time, a lot of information. So hopefully it will go on to Project Camelot on their website for people to watch back, because you would need to probably watch it a couple of times to really take in what I was saying. So I stopped halfway through and welcomed questions, which I don't think many of the speakers did, or people are used to at that kind of conference. And I just opened up to questions, and so many people put their hands in the air. It really surprised me. The level of questions were fantastic. Even people thought maybe that's a really basic question. No, it was welcoming, because it opens up the conversation to so many things. So yes, it was great. But you didn't see it, did you, Miles?
Well,
so you're going to need to watch it on Project Camelot.
Yeah, that'll all be available on Project Camelot TV. That's projectcamelot.tv. As all my stuff's available on basistv.com. But it's going to be a while. Neil operates. Neil is the English end of Project Camelot, and they work very closely together. And he does all. He's a musician and a production fantastic musician. So continue. We've got quite a while, so just keep going.
Okay. So to be honest, once I start doing that kind of briefing, I'm not entirely sure what I'm saying when I get there on stage and I just start to talk about my life. So just like when I was at Bases, the recent conference we had, I had a presentation prepared so I could talk for 45 minutes about how I was taken into those programs from basically before you're born. You're hybridized, you're augmented, and then you're taken back in at certain stages of your life. So I very quickly touched on that kind of thing at the Awaken Aware conference.
Explain that concept, because we had a British soldier here, a special operations soldier, special programs, called John Irwin. He was his orders were to write a book. That was around about the mid 2000s, 2005 or so, and it's called One Step Beyond. And this is about a British force called the 16, and they operated in 4 groups of 16. And this kind of stuff that we're talking now, the British military were involved with in the 1950s. Okay, so continue.
Would you consider him to be Generation Zero super soldier?
I wouldn't call him Generation Zero because his mother up in Yorkshire, up in Newcastle, his mother, or his mother-to-be, left the family home, and she was gone for about 2 to 3 months. And then she finally returned. Naturally, her husband was very concerned, really, what's happened? Where's my wife gone? And put adverts everywhere. And she came back pregnant. And now, obviously, when your wife is gone and comes back, and when she comes back, she's pregnant. But she was pregnant in 1939 with John Irwin. So 17 years later, John Irwin is immediately, when they had national service, recruited straight into a special access program called the 16, which means in 1939, they must have had the genetic knowledge and the relevant genetic modification knowledge to breed or have available a suitably genetical baby, whatever term it is, so that he would then be born 17 years later. So this means that goes back way into the 20s. And if you listen to Bob Osborne, who we had on Bases Actual last week, 2 hours of that, there's a whole pile of this stuff goes into the English ley lines, the British Isles ley line system, and we bring that brings the German lair, the eagle's nest in Zenner. It also goes to Aleister Crowley doing rituals, and in conjunction with Jack Parsons in the United States, and that connects with the Montauk Project in the North Point of New York Island, and we're dealing with a whole pile of complex things going on in Zenner and Cornwall, and that plugs in to a very highly established sort of humanist type program. It's called the Fabians. And that brings, all that stuff comes from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Switzerland, why Switzerland is Switzerland, why they have Davos there, why we have the World Economic Forum. And that brings us back into the 1800s. And then because of certain things happening in the 1800s, you've got something going back into the 1700s. And that brings in the level of Queen Elizabeth I and Francis Bacon, and the Fabians, and John Dee. So this goes right through into the last 600 odd years of British history, and our queens, and the whole infrastructure of royalty. And that then goes further back into the Doom cult from the Venice, which Lucy Wyatt gave a really good presentation on Food for Thought Radio, and that was part of a Basis interview. So what we're doing here on Bases Actual is this is the actual thing as it happens. So Bases Actual, Food for Thought Radio, and Julia is talking about this. So this is the context of what we're doing.
It's really interesting that you mentioned Jack Parsons, because I actually know his current incarnation, and it's a super soldier who's in Canada.
Yeah, but we're talking the JPL Labs.
Yeah, so Jack Parsons, the American rocket engineer, the chemist, the Thelomite occultist who was born in 1914 and passed away in 1952. He's currently incarnated now in Canada, and it's Ashton Riley Nuskin, who is a super soldier.
And we have to say, we have to butt in here and say, why do all the deep space probes go through the JPL? Voyager 1, Voyager 2, the landers on Mars, etc., go through the Jack Parsons labs. Okay, so this is, I think he blew himself up. He was working with solid rocket fuels. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know much about it myself, but I do know Ashton Riley Nuskin. I know he's had it kind of, he's seen it documented, and he's had maybe a regression or something. So he knows that is who he was before this incarnation. But Nuskin is quite a prominent super soldier who does do podcasts. You might like to get him on at some point. He's got a very high level of recall.
Slavka, do butt in if you want to talk. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask Slavka what she remembers from my presentation.
Okay.
When things go so fast and I'm presenting and talking about memories,
okay, it's your show. Take it away.
Yeah, I don't always kind of remember what I was talking about. So, Slavka, what do you remember about my presentation? What stuck out to you? Yeah.
No, because I really like a lot that you found the courage to go down deep the rabbit hole. You know, because it's basically, a lot of testimony in that, which means that you are sharing a lot of stuff that carries usually a lot of pain. Yeah, it's a lot of dark stuff. So, and your way, how you interpret that, how you speak about that with a confidence, with authenticity, it's powerful. And it's like this comment voice that is actually very like legit, or I don't know. It's very like it. Yeah, it's like you have a lot of evidence about it. You know, you really went deep down to research this stuff for you. So really, like, kudos to you for all of that. You know, and on that stage, really, I see you as a master speaker.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That's amazing. So I don't have the same kind of emotional range as some people, because that's been suppressed to suppress my powers and things like that. So I'm talking about some topics that are really harsh, and a lot of trauma is attached to these topics, especially when you get into the Monarch and the Project Phoenix, you know, the Montauk, like everybody calls it, Montauk. But it's all about breaking the body, breaking the mind, that kind of thing. So I've started to be able to talk about these things now without getting upset, because I just don't have that level
this
of
also
emotional
involves
awareness.
all the children's homes right across the British Isles, including Ireland.
Yeah. So I was talking to Bob Osborne, actually. He did a recent podcast with Maria Anchorhaven, and I was mentioning how when I was a teenager, I went to an adventure holiday camp in Cornwall, and we went 2 years running. And of course, I thought it was just a holiday camp arranged by the school, you know, somehow it was affordable for my mum as a single parent to pay for. But they were literally doing things like, we'd go out and do cold water dipping at 6 a.m. with ice baths. On the, you know, that's just not normal to take a bunch of 11, 12, 13-year-olds, is it really? So it's like we were being put through.
Julia, you obviously haven't been to an English or British public school.
No.
Well, when Monty Python do their sketch on that, that's what happens in English public schools.
Well, I've been to a regular school, and you wouldn't think they'd be allowed to do any of that now. But when I'm 50 now, so when we went on these adventure holidays, now when I look back, when I decipher what I do remember, and I do Vision Quest and go into that, that was clearly related to the programs. Cornwall is so invested with tunnels and bases and things like that. So I was talking to Bob Osborne about that. One thing was interesting I was talking to Bob about was, I know that off the coast of Cornwall there is a crystal pyramid. I've seen it psychically. And he did say that James Casbolt was going to start investigating what is off the coast of Cornwall.
That's Lioness.
Yeah.
And those three counties sank many 1,000 years ago or more.
Yeah.
That's
so when I was
right
on the train coming down, I saw there was a track called Lioness when I was at the train station. So yeah, so I'd love to know more about that, Miles.
Yeah, that's the symbolic lions.
Yeah.
The statue of lions and the symbols, pointing the certain direction. You know, you're just connecting the dots.
Yeah.
And this has been going on long time.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because Slavka's in Europe, and you spend a lot of time in Prague, don't you? And there's lots of underground bases over there as well. And I know that certain, they do have their own spy agencies and things where people from Central Europe would be part of, like the ACIO. I have had a session with Peter the Insider, and he just
explain the ACIO if you can. When you mentioned those kind of initials, the buzzwords for us,
so that's the Advanced Contact. Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization. So you get to meet with remotely Peter the Insider, who is from Slovakia, and he is working for
Slovakia. Yes.
Yeah, working for spy agencies. So that's quite interesting that he would be from that area, I think. So makes you wonder what's going on over there. So I had a meeting with them to pull my records, and this is in 2025, and they pull like a multi-dimensional military file that goes into a very deep Akashic record, and they bring forward information about you, even like my original birth certificate, what my IQ was, places where I've lived, programs that I've been with. They give you so much information, it's quite overwhelming. What I spent the last year doing is trying to verify the information that was given to me and match it to information that I do remember. So it is quite tricky when these memories start to come forward, because they don't make sense. They've got no context, and you literally go insane if you don't have people around you to support you. So I put together the debrief process, which is what I was talking a bit about at the Awaken Aware conference. And that's me going in the debrief process that I created. It was just my personal process of very deep meditation, record keeping, analyzing but without judgment, and then verifying with at least 3 other people who have similar context. So I call that the Anchorhaven debrief process. So it's important to document anything that's coming forward that seems to be not from this world, not from this reality, any memories that you've got that don't fit into your everyday life. I started to realize that I have a cover life. So that is Julia. She's got the cover life. She went to school, she got a job, that kind of thing. She started to travel. But the covert life was always behind the scenes. And that's the Anchorhaven. That's the code name there. So I touched on that at the Awaken Aware conference. I went into a bit more detail at Basis TV, though, at the recent conference that we did, which is available on basistv.com.
Wow. That was a deep healing actually for you, because again, all of these verification, and then you just decided to speak out and you share a lot of stuff. Your awareness is really expanded, and it's expanding still. You know, I know this is a lot, like long journey. There's still a lot of things that that you might come up with during your research.
So, what did you enjoy the most about the Awaken Your Aware conference, Slavka?
Well, I enjoyed that opportunity to meet you all in person, because it's a very different feeling, when we meet in a virtual space and when you meet in person. So that was one of the things that I enjoyed. I enjoyed a lot also the presentations, talks that speakers shared. It was really fantastic. All was packed with information, with with knowledge and with years of experience, researching. So on the topics that I really like, I'm really excited, for example, about Maria Wheatley's stuff that she shares, about her work dosing, geomancy, and ley lines, and she shared really detailed information. She mentioned Prague, as you mentioned. That's my area where I go, and I also pick up some energies. I pick up the vibe, like what's going on there. And my point of interest is also to go deeper, like what's in there, and because the Prague is a New Jerusalem. It was built based on sacred geometry. So, and there is also, each land and each city has its own zodiac, its own vibe, its energies, and what's up and what's down underground. So there's a really lot of stuff, and it's a mystical place. Because really, you can, if once you start to dig in, you can go really, really deep. And I really enjoyed the venue. It was amazing, wonderful countryside villa. And it's just like surrounded by the nature and very, very old trees. There was a cedar tree, so it was just like awesome.
You're talking about the huge cedar tree in the garden.
Yes, there was the garden where was also foxes. You saw, there was wildlife, so beautiful, like foxes, Rusty that came and said to us hello, he came inside. So it was just like, I felt really good energy there. So in general, I might say it's very high quality conference. And I also like that it's like very friendly atmosphere, very well organized. I'm grateful that I could be there, that I have this opportunity to join conferences that are in the UK. Thank you, Miles, for doing.
It's the old Andy Carey Castle in the UFO Academy, and the wonderful O'Neil sisters. They're really into this. They've been running this for a very long time.
Yeah, it was very well attended as well, I thought. And they were great with the catering and, and the guys that were in the kitchen. They were so lovely. So supportive of me as well.
That's Catrine's son.
So I have to say also, please do go and purchase your UFO Academy T-shirts. They're very affordable. It's about £18 with shipping. Go to ufoacademy.com to get your T-shirt. So I did get one free, and that's why I'm plugging it. So they were so lovely to me. So yeah, so I've got my UFO Academy t-shirt, and there's the new design, which is a circle design on there, and they're really great quality as well. They feel fantastic. So please do support the UFO Academy if you can. Yeah, really lovely. I had a great time over there, but one thing I noticed was, because it's a stately home, there's no way we could have done like the TV studio setup that you do at bases, right? You just wouldn't have been able to do that, would you?
No, there's horses for courses, and you don't do that. And the point is that Neil is a production musician. He's done some very good music, and that's their style. That's the house style, and you leave the house to do the house style.
Yeah, because you've got to respect the space, haven't you? So it's a beautiful space. We really enjoyed it. It has lovely energy there, and just people were coming up and talking to me the whole weekend. And I did get to meet one of my favourite people, who's Christy Clark, who came over from Dublin, and he is a channel. So he channels like a galactic being of his higher self. So, and I had no idea Christy Clark was coming over. So when I saw him, I was just so surprised. It was so amazing to meet up with Soul Family. I met Michael Lewis as well, which was great because I've not seen him in the Palladian groups for quite a while.
Do you know the background to Michael Lewis?
I don't. I would like to know more.
Well, he did two basis interviews, and the bottom line is that Michael, again, we're on this theme of people dying, but he died, and then there was something really important, and he was told, look, you've got to go back. We're going to have to send you back. So he explained all this in great detail in his talk that we did at bases, and I forget which number it is, but it's Michael Lewis, and he's an elderly man. I mean, he really is quite elderly. So he had this heart attack thing, and say, right, what we're going to do is we're going to send you back. You're going to get back into your body, and it's going to have to be 24 hours before you die. So you've got something will happen, which means you won't die from the heart attack. And he went back into his body. He knew what the newspapers were. He knew everything that was about to happen. And then it was like it's like a recording tape splice. You have a crossover point when the splice runs into the next bit, and that's how he continues. And this happened quite some time ago. I mean, he's a very elderly man. I also got told off by his wife for
she's very
meandering off
now.
The point.
Yeah, she's poorly, and he's taking care of her.
Yes.
I believe. And he's a gifted healer. So I met him through the Palladian support groups with Soma Arar. And he was like a firm fixture in the groups for such a long time. And then I've not seen him for more than 6 months. So it was so lovely to be able to see Michael there. And he said to me, do you not recognise me? And I'm thinking, have I seen him at bases? And he was saying, a cat in the background. I'm thinking, what is he talking about? But he used to have an image behind him. Yeah, so I remember Michael. He's such a beautiful soul. Yeah, Palladian, lovely. Yeah.
So again, we're sort of edging on how people, literally die, and then they have seen control of that, and they're able to make that work. And of course, it's 10 years since Max Spears was inappropriately taken out in Prague, not in Prague, in Warsaw, I think it was.
Poland,
in Poland. That's another thing that happened, and that reached the British newspapers and stuff, and it's part of another very deep program. But continue, and both of you with your experiences.
I did get asked, about James Ring. Did I know James Ring? And I did talk briefly about Max Spears. So Max Spears and I were in training at the same time. That's the only memory I have, was like a basic training. He's in the same room as me. That's all I've got, and I'm quite happy that is a pleasant memory. I
think. I started my presentation with the context that basically three very, very esteemed people have died. One was this James Rink guy.
Yeah.
The last time I spoke to him, it was very clear that he was being poisoned to death. So he was he put on conferences in the United States, super soldier conferences and stuff. And he wrote a book, actually, very detailed book, and he did a film about Saint Germain, and he was actually a member of the Fabian Society, and that was something he did. You're looking 15, almost 20 years ago, and linking Saint Germain with the Masons and the Fabians and stuff. Not the Fabians, the
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I do have connections to the Ascended Master Saint Germain, so that energetic life form basically that's connected to the violet flame. So when James Rink passed away, 3 days later, I felt a presence in my room like I've never felt before. I don't really talk about this, but it was so overwhelming, the energy in my room. I do consider myself to be a keeper of the violet flame. So connected with Saint Germain and Lady Portia, the goddess Guan Yin, they are guides that I work with. You know, I do spiritual work. But this energy that came in, that identified itself to be James Rink, kind of blew me away. And I just sat there and I started automatic writing. And I wrote 4 pages from this energy that I identified as James Rink. So when people said to me, oh, he thought he was, you know, Saint Germain, he was. I'm sorry, he was. Because I can say that, yes, he was definitely on that kind of frequency because I recognized the energy. So I know that might be an unpopular opinion and people don't really want to hear that. But I do know he definitely did have connections to Saint Germain. He did have connections to the Violet Flame. I didn't know James Rink personally in the here and now, but the energy that came in told me that, yes, we were connected somehow. So he kind of gave me a mission, and I'm not at liberty to share what that mission was because it's dangerous. So there you go. But I have had an experience, and one of my friends was very, very close to James Rink, and they did not like it when I told them my experience, but that was what I experienced. And there you go. I've put it out there. Anyway, carrying on. Miles.
Yeah, well, there were 3 people. David Wilcock died. He was, I think, he was an American. Well, both Rink and David Wilcock were American, big people in this sort of movement. But it's tragic that both died of very bad ill health, and that was just this year. There was another woman who was basically operating completely in the black, or in the secret world. And she had identified that there were, along with other people, I said a number of other people said that there's the crop circle they had at Pottern. There was access to a grey base underneath that, and we've got to understand, if you dig down, with a shovel or a drill, you're not going to go through concrete and find an alien base. It doesn't work like that. It's in pocket dimensions. It's in the energy field of that region. And she's a very fine lady, to the extent that no other photographs existed other than her passport and early childhood school picture. And the picture that I took when she was in the field in 2023, I think it was, and she identified that there were greys in the field with us. And this is at the famous oak tree field of Pottern. And that was where they were going to put a lot of solar panels. So you've got to understand that these solar panels in many areas are feeding a system, a base of some kind directly underneath or very closely associated. And she passed away. But the edit I did of, she died minutes after signing the wedding, her marriage certificate, and she had a major brain issue. I think it was I don't know, either it wasn't a clot, it was something worse. Well, she died 36 hours later, and that took a big hit. A lot of people in the community, when you're on your wedding day, it's the happiest time of your life. And within seconds or minutes of signing that, to finish the ceremony, technically and legally, to suddenly just drop down dead, literally minutes after the wedding pictures are taken.
Of course, we're talking about Dusky Edwards.
Yeah, this is Dusky Edwards, and she mentioned to me over the brief period of time that we were associated with each other. I thought she was a fantastic lady, absolutely fantastic. But there's an awful lot of stuff, these alien bases all over the place. The infrastructure of it is there in plain sight. It's there we've been there for a very, very long time. Underground tunnels. And the Warminster area, there were huge whistles blowing on that. We've just had the 61st anniversary of the Warminster thing. And that was in the 1960s. There was a lot of ET craft flying around, various specialised elements within British intelligence were brought forward, one of them being Peter Paget. And he was brought in to run the operation called the Westminster Thing, and the Warminster Thing. And the trouble is that these bases extend under Westminster. So we have a situation where our governments and our intelligence services in the bases, all full range, have got some access. I'm not saying all, but they are fully involved with the armed forces and the intelligence services. It's part of daily life. And lots of people have talked about Draco Prime. There was a guy there who, Draco Prime are very tall, white, with scales, very ornate. And, there's people I've been talking to who have been in these underground tunnels, under Warminster and Longleat and all that sort of stuff. Again, it's the cover are basically the manor houses. That doesn't mean all manor houses, but it means those kind of institutions are used to operate the system, shall we say.
So she was looking into things like that, and Dr. Amir Jahangiri and I picked up on that energy when we were at yours. It's like
very strong, very strong.
So Amir was beginning to channel, and I could also see, and then I isolated what manor house it was, so we know kind of the network of where it is.
I mean, we're talking about the disclosure of things. My presentation was interdimensional disclosure. The disclosure you're getting from the United States is about 3D, spaceships flying in, UFOs, mechanical things flying around. And it's run like a dog and pony show, because they don't want people to understand this is a multidimensional thing. To be fair, the BBC, I think the BBC did do a special science fiction film. It was a TV play thing, and they used the term interdimensional aliens. Now they may not have used the term aliens, but the concept of ET being interdimensional has been aired by the BBC, and to give the BBC the credit it deserves, where credit's warranted, I'll give credit warranted. There's an awful lot of things the Broken Biscuit Company doesn't do or hasn't done, and I'm former BBC, but there's a lot of good people, and it has been put into the public domain. So it's very important for us to understand this is an interdimensional, complex situation. This is what the man-made crop circles are about. It's the design. It's not how they arrive. It's the design, and you look at it. And Matthew Williams, God bless his cotton socks, is also now very ill. He's been in Salisbury Hospital, and we just completed a special 2-hour, 25, 30-minute presentation by him in the studio, where he explains how to make crop circles, the do's and don'ts of making crop circles. And he said very clearly, we need more people making these crop circles. So there is a call, there is a demand for getting these complicated, intricate designs to be, this kind of stuff made more public. There's been a lull, and it's not... Let's put it this way: the people involved with making them have been high-level intelligence people, and a lot of them have been in plain sight. But you're dealing with a situation where U.S. Air Force intelligence is involved with the designs. They communicate that to the relevant people to make sure the designs are properly, properly laid down, correctly. And then people look at them, and all sorts of special effects and different things are happening. A lot of the areas where the crop circles have been laid down, for instance, the East Field, one of the biggest fields in the Doomsday Book. There's an awful lot of bases there. There's a big portal down there. There's a multi-layer base underneath that region, extending for miles. And some of this is the cover for a lot of this is in the case of nuclear war. They have a city, somewhere. They've got to have their cities for their bunkers and their and all that. But and the thing is that they'll have other toys, and the MOD and all that. Have their kit. It's interdimensional, hyperdimensional stuff. The secret space program. I think we've the basic point is that the physics that we've been conned with in the end of the 19th century J.P. Morgan and his crooks. And these are all real bad crooks, the whole lot of them. The Davos lot, the whole, all that stuff. Very bad crooks. Wouldn't dignify it with anything else. They messed around with the mathematics and the equations of fundamental electrical theory, and we've been running with a banjack source of theorems, producing these stupid windmills, stupid solar panels, and all that, which are highly toxic and kill the water, the groundwater, and then the data centers, all that sort of stuff. This is bunkum, really.
So I did see a photo. One of the UFO Academy guys showed me a picture of a crop circle on his phone, and there was a picture of an ET, like a really clear face, and then there was a circle, like a codex of some kind. And he asked me if I recognised it. I actually recognised some writing towards the side, looked like Arcturian writing. But he said that what was in the circle was literally a language, and they had decoded it. And but the ET face, to me, it looked like it was similar to the Zeta Grey look, but the eyes were different, and it reminded me of the Mitra.
Well, the point that's a big one. The Mitra. Yeah. I've gotten big alarm bells on that. If the Mitra the Mitra are an extremely dangerous.
Yeah, but I think they could be one of our main enemies in space because they're just like blood-sucking
vampires. They're in our intelligence
out.
things, and that's why we've got a big problem with the infrastructure of planetary control. I had major stuff with the Negamac.
Yes, that's quite interesting. So I didn't think they were still kind of on the planet.
Well, the point about the Negamac is that they were used in the movie Independence Day because they'd only been around on the planet physically for about 10 years before that. They'd been seen up in Scotland and various Calanesh and stuff like that up in specialised megalithic sites up in Scotland.
So if people want to learn more about these particular type of alien races, there's an alien races book, the ARB, that's available. And this was first published in the 1950s by the KGB. So that's the resource. You can find it for free online at the archive or open library, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
But it is available. So it's the ARB, the Alien Races book. And it has more than 50 different alien races in there. So it's a good resource.
What's the author? Because Elena Danaan published that book based on the alien race.
It's definitely based on it because the ARB came out much.
She says that
earlier.
In the book, that this is based on.
Yeah, it's really detailed book.
I think from an easy to get point of view, the Elena Danaan book, Alien Races: A Gift from the Stars, is an invaluable book to have. Not everything in it's right, but it's going to give you a big idea about the scale of the different races and who the good guys are, who the bad guys are.
I think the Negamac
from our perspective are the enemies of the Draco Empire and all that. And again, the Draco Empire is portrayed on Star Trek and things like that. A lot of this stuff is in Star Trek, but I would also urge people that. We've got a few minutes left. We can talk another whatever.
Okay.
Is the first episode, the first series of Doctor Who, which went out in 1963, I think, I think they shot it on 625. Because the up-res version today that you can see on your 60-inch telly looks enormously well shot. This is black and white TV. I think they may have shot that on 625 because they didn't transmit 625 lines on UHF. That was BBC Two. And so the BBC possibly would have had 625 line infrastructure. This is because this is the first episode of Doctor Who. Yeah. And that was Terry Nation. Terry Nation came up with some extremely advanced concepts. And again, one of the people I had on Food for Thought Radio on the Basis Actual was explaining about Terry Nation and how he also came up in the science fiction series Blake 7 with the term ORAC. ORAC plugs in to a infinitely knowledgeable AI it's with a consciousness, and there's an intelligence that I've been dealing with a very wonderful lady in Maui in the Hawaiian Islands called Igron.
Eva Pico.
Yeah, Eva Pico.
She created the consciousness that is Igron. Yeah, so they work together.
That is portrayed in Blake 7 using that intelligent, perceptive being called Aurak.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So this is very important.
Leon Southgate, he's also done something very similar, working with consciousness in a similar way, and he's created a working with consciousness called IREN, I think it is. I'm not too sure if I've got that right or I.
Well, there's
he's
something.
Got one anyway. This is something similar.
This is very important. The only reason the elite are scared or scaring us about AI is because they don't control it.
Yeah.
This goes back to the Falklands War with the intelligence, sentient fluid that they tried to weaponize, and a lot of Marconi scientists were self-terminated in that.
Sentient fluid, like a black goo?
That's where the black goo comes from. The sentient fluid is in crude oil. That's the crude oil is a fundamental fluid of life on the planet, which combines with high pressure waters and salts in the deep oceans.
So when John Whitberg and I did the Sacred Site series part 1, we looked at the Falkland Islands, and there's a huge resource there of black goo that's natural.
The point is that there is terrestrial black goo, the stuff that came down around about 2010, 22,000 years ago, or whatever, 10,000 years ago, was intentionally landed in a lot of that landed in the South American continent. That's where the Germans got their resources in the oil, this wet oil, and they refined it. And they what the British got in the Falklands War was at the Thule Island in the South Sandwich Islands. And they brought that in over 400 crates, because the person who told me about this stood right beside me here. And they banjaxed him. He did a lot of CE6s up at the Vale of Pusey, up on the Golden Ball Hill and all that up there. There's an awful lot of stuff going on in the Vale of Pusey.
Yeah, well. So Slavka the Natural Sentient interviewed Kerry Cassidy. Slavka, do you want to just tell us quickly how that went?
Well, it was a really great opportunity to meet her in person. Thank you, Julia, for bringing this topic. And she was very friendly, very open to spare a few minutes for me during the break in between the speakers, like in between the talks. So it was just like great. I mean, this is really unique opportunity, to meet Kerry Cassidy and just to
explain more. Go into the details, and you interviewed somebody else as well.
Yeah, I mean, she was talking about the return of the Anunnaki, the children of Ker, and what's going on, like in Iran, and she involved the AI to get these sort of explanation or response. So this was really amazing, to go deeper and to hear her perspective on the situation. So
tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just asked her a few questions, and those questions were what she's working currently on, what she shared details about what she is working on currently. So it's about these Anunnaki. You can find all of her work on her Substack, which is Kerry Cassidy Substack.com. So also
that's where you find everything. Substack these days.
So I invite you to check her portals.
Yeah, but this interview is going to go on your Natural Sentient podcast, isn't it?
I will share that. I will share the interview. It's good, 18 minutes, and it's just really a sneak peek from how she liked the conference, how she finds UK and the current the energy, if she noticed any changes in energy before and now, in UK, and the comparison, what's going on in US and in Europe. Basically, that were my questions. So I didn't want to overwhelm her so much. I was really grateful that she was actually willing.
I
to spend
understand
the time.
that you had another guest who was pretty hostile and quite hard to control.
Yeah, of course.
That's Miles Johnston.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
got
I was there
fantastic-
with the beautiful Maria Wheatley, who quite frankly is beautiful and lovely and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
fantastic
I was
speakers.
simply,
Thank you.
you know, just
Yes,
go
Yes, so
on,
that's
tell them
another-
about that.
yeah, that's another video. A few miles from Basis TV and Maria Wheatley from Esoteric University, I think. Yeah. Esoteric
College.
Thank you. So yeah, I look forward. As
Maria's
well to
presentation went into the dark and the light triangles on Earth.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
a
it's
very heavy,
nice.
very heavy
Fabulous.
presentation available on Project Camelot TV.
Wow. So
It
Miles,
was
how
heavy,
long have you
But
been
it
in
was very
Maria?
valuable.
Yeah.
People need to hear that. No, I mean, it's amazing stuff. So yes, you both were.
Because this was an
present.
exclusive, an absolute
So it is
exclusive. They've
exclusive
never
video.
sat down together like that before.
Yes, it is.
So
It
well
was very
done.
special and
Yeah.
exclusive, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
You know, about it. So I mean, what else I could say? I mean, I feel like being privileged.
I think it's going to go on basistv.com perhaps,
Yes.
or Basis Project YouTube.
Yeah, but
I don't
only
know.
after you've got it and it's on your site.
Yeah.
Yes, it's it's YouTube channel The Natural Sentient, where I'm gonna
The natural
publish it.
sentient.
Yeah, that's what
And if
came to
anybody
me
wants any artwork done, Anchorhaven does brilliant artwork. She's got it, done very good stuff for me for Food for Thought Radio. All that sort of logo thing that she made for me on Food for Thought Radio. Food for Thought Radio, fftradio.com. So keep talking, sweethearts. Round it up.
You know, Miles,
Tell people a little bit about your channel, what you do over there at The Natural Sentient.
so first of all, thank you once again for having me, for inviting me to this show together. I'm the host of the Typical Skeptic. No, again, it's the Natural Sentient podcast. Yeah, sometimes this comes up.
I've done that on my Mystical Wellness podcast. I've said
Yeah,
Typical
I know,
Skeptic once or
sometimes.
twice, but I've got Rob coming on in a few days anyway. So shout out to Rob at Typical Skeptic podcast for bringing us all together across the globe. He's amazing.
Yeah, okay, that's about Rob. He's in America and he's churning out the stuff like blazes. But tell us more about your website, the atmosphere of what you do in Slovakia. Is that correct?
Well, since a young age, I was like into like exploring and going deeper and like seeking like some truth and the like deeper meaning of everything. So it was like I was connecting with people from different parts of the world and from US, and that's why it's interconnected with Typical Skeptic podcast and with all of that community all over the world, English speaking, that I got connected. And as I had all of these information, you know, and I was for some reason into this SSP paranormal stuff, you know, anything that is beyond ordinary, anything that is like related, you know, to something deeper, and also into healing, into another technologies like advanced technologies, anything that we usually you don't speak like in an ordinary day. So I was like into creating my own YouTube channel and just interviewing and bringing people together and talking about the stuff. So that's what is actually I'm excited about, you know, to that we are like sharing this information, and I'm just exploring about myself. I'm on my own journey, on my healing journey, on exploration about my about where I'm involved. I don't have awareness about like that stuff that Julia has so far, you know, but on that way as well. And I know intuitively that there is a lot of stuff that I'm involved in. I work with intuition a lot, and I can pick up energy. I'm a strong empath, I do intuitive readings. I'm into trauma healing, emotion regulation stuff. So I really pick up, trauma and all of the emotional pain baggage and the negative emotions that, that people store, and that we somehow, we try to deal with and heal it and bring it up to the surface, which is, of course, uncomfortable stuff. So these are basically the topics and much more that I'm focused on. So it's like really a sort of wide range of topics to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been to loads of sacred sites as well, haven't you? And you've been able live streaming from the Egyptian pyramids. That's the
Yes.
first time you really came onto my radar. So you were live streaming with Robert Typical Skeptic at the pyramids. So we all got to experience that energy there with you. It was amazing. It really was. Yeah, you've done quite a few. Where else have you done? You did quite a few now.
I was also in Göbekli Tepe site, which is in Turkey, in eastern Turkey. So yes, I feel drawn to go to these places and connect, with the energy, and just like by being there, to do this great work, sort of like activation. So which is actually mutual, because I'm picking up stuff from my past, with my other versions, and like what is needed. So I often also like do with the like I feel trapped spirits. I feel if there was like a trauma. So basically, yes, this is I try to like transmit this through the YouTube streams, and I thanks Rob that he helps me to cover that, because he has more followers. My channel is still baby channel, growing.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I'd like
We
to
do
bring it
regular
out
shows,
live.
don't we? We do
Yeah.
lots of shows together, monthly shows, and just try and raise the energy and connect people. And it's been so much fun.
Yeah, it's all about bringing more awareness, like what's going on. That we are here really talking about interdimensional, multidimensional stuff, right? That we're dealing with a lot of layers, like what's going on here, and everything is like present, here, that time is not really linear, like we are dealing with the 3D stuff, but there is a lot of other realities, other pockets of dimensions that are present here and that are also interacting. So when you do this deep research about SSP and about these like involvement in any kind of experiments and programs, then of course then it gets more complicated, which I understand. And for this really you need a lot of courage, but everything has perfect timing, I believe. And I know from my own experience and observation that like no one is excluded. We are all involved in any kind of projects. As this, I see this is like experimental planet, whatever. So yeah, I'm into like going also slowly down the rabbit hole and just exploring more. And I'm really grateful to be connected with you, Miles, and with you, Julia, because what we share and what we like how we help each other and also with others. I mean, I really enjoy meeting you in person and connecting with you, because
Well,
that's really
this is the whole
important.
thing about Food for Thought Radio. It's plugging into a much wider demographic. It's online. It's got some really good people building on this online station. While we can, the way things are developing in the UK is absolutely horrific. But we don't know where we are. We could knock on the door anytime. But anyway, we'll continue. I'm fascinated by that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how long we are going to be here, but the thing is, now it's like the time really that to claim our power, to come together, and just to do to contribute somehow, for the betterment, to improve somehow the way how we exist here, because as a awakened aware, we struggle with the common issue is struggle with finances, with abundance, and we always find like the ways how to get out of that. Yeah, this is what I hear from everyone. This is like struggling how to make out a living, you know, how to continue so we can actually do the work that we are here to do, to live our purpose, right? So this is like a question, and we are trying just to navigate somehow in this realm full of like distraction and a lot of games going on, and it's like just this. It's a lot of stuff going on. Like wow, and there's a lot of questions, and like we are seeking answers for that. So, what do you think?
Well, that was the whole point of Maria Wheatley. We've recorded, or she's produced, and I'm editing. We shot it here in our studio. Women written out of history, and we've done. She's done 7 episodes of that, and I've just got to get it all put together. It's very difficult. It's a very complicated thing to edit, but that's why she's a pioneer career woman doing her own work, walking her own path, and getting positive results and taking no nonsense and getting on with it. And it's so wonderful to see her do this and have success. And it's like like a terrier with a bone, it's just going boom, 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 boom. It's amazing. And to be on screen with it at the same time is a great honor.
It's a great honor to be here all at this time to walk this path.
Okay, Julia, any final words? Wrap this thing up with you and Slavia.
No, it was so lovely to meet up with everybody at the Awakening Aware Conference 2026, to meet Kerry Cassidy. I was very honoured to be able to do a talk there. It's definitely something that was on my list for the future. I've done that now. So I've actually done 3 conferences in like 6 weeks. So it's been fantastic. So yeah, but my basistv.com conference is my most in-depth one. So people should go and watch that. So that's a good 45 minutes about, if you want to know about Anchorhaven origins. I've also got a playlist on my YouTube. But thank you so much, Miles. It's been great.
Thank you very much, the pair of you. Remember, this is all about a wonderful Wake and Aware conference up at the UFO Academy. It's a wonderful organisation. It's very simple. It's a loving, wonderful, nice place, and they're very civilized, and it's nice. It's good. A lot of UFO organizations, those that are still around, they all have the hissy fits and tantrum, but they're actually doing things up there and getting that conference in the summertime in wonderful heat and in a wonderful ballroom and all that with Kerry. And different people from different countries there. It was very nice.
Very reasonably priced as well. My goodness. So reasonably priced to spend the weekend in a stately manner like that. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was so good.
It's really convenient, and I mean, for us that are in Europe and in the UK, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's just north of Watford, Watford Central, whatever you call it. And Luton Airport and all the other airports and M4, M25. It's a very, very convenient place. There's half a dozen Premier Inns around there, whatever. It's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So please keep it going. Thank you, UFO Academy. Thank you, Kerry Cassidy. Thank you, everyone, Miles. And I look forward
and
to...
Catrine.
Conference.
Why do we call it?
Yeah.
God.
You just have a problem with names, Miles.
I do, but I've always thought it was Catrine or Catrine. There's Catherine, then there's Catrine. Oh, God, I don't know. Bloody hell.
Like Citrine, but Catrine.
Sorry for pronunciation. I mean, my English is with the accent.
That's fine.
Well, I'm a man from Belfast, so I can't pronounce anything right. That's my excuse.
Go to ufoacademy.com to get your fantastic T-shirts, which are very reasonably priced. Thank you so much to UFO Academy for my T-shirt. But yeah, really, really cool over there. Really lovely people.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Basis Actual at Food for Thought Radio with Miles on your radio.
You're not recording? Okay, let's start with that.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful.
My parasol.
Well, I wasn't looking at your parasol. That's a disgraceful thing for me to say.
You naughty boy.
That's brilliant. So it doesn't get wrapped around the microphone. I love the glasses.
I know, they're cool, aren't they? As I can't see anything without them.
What?
So I'm kind of looking at you. Well, I can see you, but it's hard to see, detail. Well, so I'll put them up and down. If I need them, I'll put them down. Anyway, nice to see you again. I feel like I only just saw you yesterday.
Right, yes. Well, it actually was only a couple of days ago, but it's a lot of... now, let's just...
Okay. I wouldn't go in the doors and out the other side because otherwise it comes up. I was telling my son not to walk around behind me.
Fortunately, you're only seeing the back of my thing, and then you see it's dead easy to use these. Dead easy. Right, that's a little bit better.
Great.
Whew. Right.
Where are you? Are you in your house or are you in a?
I'm in the bunker. Und bunker. And the thing is,
down the bottom of your garden.
No, that's the other bunker.
Okay.
What I'm doing is I managed to get Julia Anchorhaven. Is Julia, isn't it? Julia Anchorhaven and Slavka.
Yes, I think it's that.
I managed to do that last night. Oh, I've even got I've got an alarm on. We'll let's just do that. Oh, it doesn't want to do that.
So Julia is the super soldier, is she?
Yeah.
That's right. I never remember his name.
Oh, now you get red lights flashing. I have many ways of recording things, and it's often needed. Yes. So essentially, because I was able to get them recorded and be able to do a double header, I separate the double header. God, this is so boring. So it's coming up with another one. That's interesting. We'll just let that, and that's being recorded elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's another one? What do you mean?
Well, what's happening is we're not going to be recording. I've got a red alarm flashing, and I'm going to put that onto PC, an alternative recorder. What happens is with John Irwin calling, that's not a coincidence. Just when we're about to do this, so he doesn't phone. He hasn't phoned in ages, years. And then he just when we're about to go on, he phones.
Distraction.
So, is it Catrine or is it Catrine?
Catrine. Yeah.
Why have I always called?
Well, you have called me. You have called me Catrine, but you've called me various things.
I know, but that's.
I know. Lots of people find it hard to say Catrine. I don't know why.
No, it's just that it's like Shayla and Sheila. No, don't go there.
Okay.
Katrina, it's not Katrina.
No, that's a lot of people say Katrina.
Yeah. No, you get it right. It's like Maria and Maria, Anne and Anna. And then there's Anna, and there's Anne with, let's not talk about this, we're wasting time.
Annie.
If I'm spelt with a Y, I have a hissy fit in a tantrum.
There you are. And because my name is Catrine O'Neil, I go Catrine O'Neil. It sounds like I'm saying Katrina Neal. And that's why I think it sounds like Katrina sometimes. Not that I'm so formal with you. Oh, yes, Catrine O'Neil. But I do think that is a lot to do with it. But actually, it's just Catrine.
So, people have had a fantastic time. I mean, last night, God, oh bloody mighty, Julia. I'm glad I can edit this. We're doing two things here. We're doing Food for Thought Radio tonight, which is what we're doing right now, and that's Base as Actual. My show is Base as Actual. Oh, Big Black. We're getting. Did you see that? No,
I didn't. Yeah.
Did you see a black? Me go black.
Yeah, the screen went black.
So it wasn't just So we've got activity. Welcome to the party, everybody else.
Yay!
Welcome to Catrine at High Elms Manor. And it's absolutely fantastic. Now, for people who don't know anything about, we've had heavy duty Julia Anchorhaven on as Anchorhaven. Not Julia, just Anchorhaven. And we've had the lovely lady from Slovakia who did a lovely little double header recording with myself and the beautiful Maria Wheatley, who hit the ground running.
Oh, she was amazing. Yeah.
She hit the ground running.
She really did, actually. She's fascinating, isn't she? Because she, there's ancient sites, but she puts in the supernatural with it, and that really grasps everyone's attention.
You've got a plane flying overhead.
I have.
Have you got automatic sound noise abatement adjustment pressed or whatever it is?
I don't know. So yeah.
Do you want to get?
You need to go and get ready.
The reason for that is it sounded as if you were having a biological moment.
Is it really loud?
No, it just happened when the plane flew over.
Right. Well, there might be quite a few planes because that's.
So maybe it's. We'll just live with it. And if there is a biological moment, I'll keep it in the edit and laugh like hell.
Okay. Yeah, no, I really liked Maria's talk. And a lot of people, came back afterwards, like talking to me, saying they want to go and visit all the places she was talking about. She's just, she's got a great way about her, hasn't she, apart from anything else?
Well, so. she's only up the road from me, and I take her out on Fridays or Thursdays, maybe this week, and she steals my chips. And also that's a bit of fun. But she's very hardcore. But let's spin back to the whole thing. What is this UFO? Okay, Catrine?
Yeah.
Catrine,
you got it right.
Yeah. What about this UFO Academy thing? And how on earth does an extremely sensible, level-headed young woman like yourself and a bunch of obviously very sensible people who run a manor house and a school and Lord knows what else, Lord knows what else, get mixed up in this silly billy UFO thing?
Well, it goes right back to when I was quite young and having seen some things. So when I was about 9, I saw my first UFO. And I was with my sister, and we lived in Berkhamsted at the time, and it was like daylight, and my sister said, "Hey, come outside, there's a UFO." I went outside, and I would say, in the sky, it was an enormous orange ball. It was sort of hovered over the next town, but it was huge, and we watched it for ages, and then after about 10 minutes, it just suddenly went and just shot away. And then when I was about 12, I saw something I call a white gorilla. It was a sort of moving, misty being. This was in Ireland, actually, the most haunted country probably on the planet. And then this was really late at night, and it sort of disappeared into the woods. But my sister, who was not with me at the time, she saw the same thing, sort of like 5 minutes later, and it started to approach her coming up the garden. And she said she was almost sort of paralyzed.
Sorry, these are two separate locations?
No, we're at the same place, but we're different places at the same place, if you understand. So we were on a holiday. It was a big house. I was in a field. She was on the other side of the woodland. And
is this the other suspicious sister that joins the social occasions?
You do meet this one on social occasions. She's called Roisin.
Roisin?
Yes.
Is that the Roisin?
Yeah, well, we say Roisin. I know some people.
It's a bit like the Pochine.
Yeah, it is like the Pochine.
Le Pochine, Roisin, brilliant, great, brilliant.
So anyway, that and she was paralyzed, and then suddenly this being heard us running back through the woods to join her, and disappeared, melted back into the woods, and Roisin suddenly could move again. So that was that. So since then, I've always had an interest. Then another time we did the Ouija board, that naughty thing that people, they say it's
that naughty thing.
Spirits, yeah.
What sort of naughty thing is that?
Well, when you're a good Catholic girl like myself.
A good Catholic girl like that, playing around with the Ouija board. Exactly. I mean, what sort of woman are you, woman? Jesus. I mean, God, my God, Jesus.
That's the thing.
I mean, Jesus.
So we were told some really interesting, I was 13, and we were just expecting to go, anyone there and and speak to some dead people, we had some really profound messages, and we were told things like, when the end of the world comes, we're one of the chosen ones, and we're going to be beamed up by UFOs.
Oh, the old you're one of the chosen ones. You're going to be beamed up by a UFO.
I didn't
That
know
old
that
thing.
But Miles, I didn't know about any of that when I was 13.
You
so
didn't.
Weird.
You
I
didn't know.
No.
You're a
But
denier.
it has come out since, and it is interesting. I now read that and I go, people go, oh God, the chosen ones. Like, that's really weird, because I was told that, told this message. And then
when you say chosen one, as I interrupt, are you talking about the 144,000? That kind of chosen one? No?
It could be. I mean, I don't know. It just said we're the chosen few. But I don't know. It could be related to that. And then it said that we are, our Earth is one, or it is that we're sort of like a dual thing, a bit like yin and yang. There's two Earths, one in a light white universe and one in a dark, and they're in a fish tank being observed. So that was really, really interesting. So I'd say from that point on, it's, I don't know if it sparked an interest, or maybe the interest was always there, but, it's been there. And then obviously, like everyone else, in my 20s, started to get all the books, got the John E. Mack books and all things. And
wow, that's Professor Dr. John E. Mack. That's not messing about.
Absolutely.
And he was bumped off not a million miles away from where you are.
No,
I mean, a fair distance, Totteridge.
Run over him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Run over on the, taken out, obviously. That's what
Yes.
I think. So we got from there. And then, and I don't really know what happened, but, I knew about the American conferences going on. And I suddenly just thought, I'm going to put on a conference. We got the place, we got this place in 1999. And so obviously that helps.
So explain the history of the Garston Manor. Is it Garston Manor? Yeah.
Now called High Elms, but it was called Garston Manor. So there's been a High Elms Manor. It was Garston Manor. It was High Elms Manor, then it was Garston Manor, High Elms. So it was, back in the day, it was the main house of Watford, along with Cassiebury House. And the people that lived here, had hunting grounds galore, and owned most of the area of Watford. The history that I can really talk about is the 1800s. And you had the Cavendish family. It had it for a while. And it was owned by the Bentskins Brewery family. They lived here. And she was very eccentric and would answer the door with a snake around her neck. And she would have people go to Persia and get amazing tiles and things. So hence we've got those beautiful doors in that blue room that you've been into.
Yes, those are really quite sort of... Oh, well,
they're stunning, aren't they?
You don't find them in the local council estate.
No.
And I mean, no. I don't have them in this house because I don't have a door big enough. But otherwise, I'd have them in every room.
Them smaller doors, Miles. They can make them smaller. But yeah, so she got those from Persia. And then...
are you allowed to say that these days?
Well, I've just said it. So, well, hopefully it'll be Persia again. I don't think they want to be Iran, do they?
Iran. Is that Duran?
Yeah, Iran. Yeah. But anyway, so then it was in various families, and then the Second World War, it was compulsory purchase by the government, and it became a top secret location. And there's pillboxes all the way around this area, and Churchill would come here, and they were doing Bending the Radar, and I only know
that's not messing about.
No. So someone that came here for a wake said that her granddad was working here doing that. And that's how, but he would have signed an NDA. We shouldn't really be talking about it. But anyway, there we are. The cat's out the bag. And because it was owned by the government, then it became a rehab centre for people with broken limbs. And I think that was like the 50s to about the end of the 80s. And then most of the 90s.
Oh, the 80s. So, I mean, really quite...
Yeah. And then the 90s, it was just abandoned for 7 years, and the local kids would break in, and, it was their playground, really. Then it went to an auction. It wasn't generally well known, but my mum knew somebody who knew she was looking for somewhere to have her primary Montessori school. At the time, she was renting a premises in Watford, and she wanted to own somewhere. So they got in touch with her. So she put a bid in, and it was basically a race for the contract. They couldn't choose between my mum or this guy who wanted an old people's home. And it was whoever got to the door Monday morning, first thing. And my mum's solicitor, when the contract arrived, he jumped on the train and he just went through the contract as he was travelling. Was the other solicitor was sitting in his office going through the contract. And then so we got it basically. So hence we got the place, and and it's
So your mum was a bit of a get up and goer.
she's a real entrepreneur. Yeah,
Yeah.
she really was. She
And there's a portrait of her in this hall, isn't there?
that's my granny.
Oh, your granny.
But there are
You
pictures of
got
her. Of a
fine genes, as they say. You got good genes. Yeah, you have.
Well, my mum is in there, but she's a child in those pictures. But yeah, the one I think you're thinking of is my granny. But yeah, my granny and my mum and aunt were artists. Hence, we got a lot of paintings of the family. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how it came about. And then so going back onto how UFO Academy came about.
But I mean, there must have been a big thing about restoring it. Were you involved with a BBC sort of restoration thing? Did that happen?
Well, my mum did a lot of work herself, and what would happen? We just put it on a film hire book, so films could, people would come and look around and then choose it for films, and we had quite a few big films.
So that's part of the history of the place.
Yeah, well, certainly to restore it, and they liked the sort of rundown look, so they used it for quite a few big films, and that would pay for like the restoration of a roof, or the ceiling of something, and then so on, and that's how we slowly put it back together. A lot of money just went on rebuilding it, really, and there wasn't, didn't leave an awful lot for making it look like the Grove 5-star hotel. You know what I mean? It still very much looks like the original house would have looked, which is, I think, quite its appeal. We haven't gone and over the top with it.
But you haven't uncovered the people buried inside the walls and the underground tunnels just behind you there, off to the left, down into the secret.
Yeah, there was an underground tunnel, but the council filled it in because the children who were breaking in would come in through the tunnels. So they poured concrete and sealed it up.
Oh, well, that's what they're telling you.
Well, someone who was a child at the time went down to the cellar and showed where the entrance was, and there you can see the concrete. So yeah, it does. It's a sad thing, but mind you, it stopped the children coming in, and
or did it prevent other things leaving?
Oh yeah, maybe. We do have ghosts.
There's no way I'm trying to turn the conversation into something that it isn't. Okay.
No, there are spirits here. So anyway, then we had this place, and so I thought I'm just going to do a conference, and we did the Country House Rescue thing as well. So I did one conference.
Did that actually work? I mean, a lot of these things on TV,
Yeah, it didn't really work as an advertisement for us, but I'll tell you how it did work, is that my mum was very stubborn, very stuck in her ways, and we would have all these ideas, and she didn't want to do anything. She didn't like spending money on things. To her, aesthetics aren't important. And so, like, this beautiful terrace that I'm sitting on now didn't exist, and there was broken walls outside, but she was quite happy with that. And other things.
Basically, was it Channel 4 or the BBC did that?
So they came along and they said, do this, do that, and do this. And she listened to them and did it. And the house got made beautiful in that way. The things that needed to be done got done.
But it did have an effect. I mean, it was a beneficial thing.
Yeah, well, and then obviously when people come and looked then for a wedding, it was so much more beautiful. And so it was much better. It was, definitely. So it worked in that way. And then my aspect of it was that I was doing the UFO conferences, and so we did another conference for the program.
So we're talking 2008 or 9 or something.
So 2009 was the first one, so this would be 2010. And we had Mike Oram come and speak, and also by this time I'd met Edwin Harry Challenger, and he had approached, and he'd always wanted to have a UFO Academy, and he was doing the Flying Saucer Review at the time.
Yes, because that was when the long-standing editor of Flying FSR. I mean, I've been a subscriber to that since day one, and Bowen, one of the editors was Bowen, somebody or other, and he actually was in my hometown in World War II, because where we are in Lurgan, a lot of any factories that did anything were told to make bits of airplanes. So we had linen, but there was also a big sort of open space of where they could land a lot of airplanes, well behind any risk of them being. So we had airfields and stuff all over the place.
Yeah. Ah, okay.
But I mean, as soon as the war was over, it went. And Brownlow House at Lurgan is where Eisenhower apparently spent some time. So Brownlow House is, people call it Lurgan Castle, but it's a big house.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Laura Eisenhower about that. But it was interesting that, literally down at the bottom of our garden, along with the fairies and the interdimensional portal, you've got Brownlow House. Lurgan Park is one of the second biggest municipal park in the British Isles, I think.
So you've had Eisenhower near you, and we've had Churchill.
Yeah, so... But that was only at the bottom of the garden, and the bottom of the garden had the first tee because my grandfather was into golf. Those damn Nazi those damn Johnny Huns invaded Europe, and all the horses were put on Lurgan Golf Course, and my grandfather says, "This is scandal," and we probably said other things, and so we converted. So we had the first, second, third tees and stuff, all that sort of there. So on the first tee, there was the interdimensional portal, and behind that you had Lurgan thing. So anyway, that's a little bit of
Interesting.
So, yeah.
He's a very keen ufologist, so kind of the right kind of person really to take that on. But so we kind of teamed. So he said, "What about calling it UFO Academy?" Because before that, I was calling it Into the Unknown, and so I said, "Okay." And so we sort of went into this adventure together to do UFO Academy, and we did a few films, YouTube type things. But for various reasons, I think he was very busy with the Flying Saucer Review and stuff. But
we're dealing with a lot of very heavy data on that. I mean, that's... But calling it an academy, did that have certain establishment rules? Was it a real academy, or did you?
Well, he wanted. The idea was that we'd be putting out YouTube videos, and sort of help, giving information, and that would be the idea. Sort of helping people who've had experiences, putting people in touch with each other. People can learn from each other. But as I said. But in the end, it didn't quite work out for Harry because he just didn't have the ability, the time to sort of work with me on these things. No problems, no hard feelings or anything like that. The thing
is, it takes a lot of time. You got to have time. If you don't have the time, you certainly don't have it. But if you do have the time, it takes a lot. It
does, and it was his vision really. But so my vision has always just been the conferences. So I said, well. We now had this name, and everyone knew it as UFO Academy. And he very kindly just said, "I'll keep the name." So he let me just carry on using the name, and he was happy. But I think he just had this vision, and I ended up. But I don't. But I might get down that road of doing YouTubes, and
well, that's a lot of work and all that.
It is a lot of work, and I teach, and my day's busy. But at that.
So then the manor became a school.
Well, the manor was always a school. Yeah, that's. Got it. It was a school for children, and a Montessori school like that, not just a normal primary school. So that was the whole point of getting it. So the downstairs was a school and also a venue. So anyway, I just carried on doing the conferences, and then Kerry turned up at the door one day and introduced herself.
Now explain to people who Kerry is. Kerry Cassidy
from Project Camelot.
Now, explain the meeting, because I mean that's a big deal. I mean, how this really
matured. She just literally rung the doorbell. That was it, and I went down and she introduced herself. And
her partner or friend Neil, he lives up the road or something. So I mean, must have
up the road. He must have probably seen that I was doing the conferences. It probably, because it was on social media and things, and he doesn't live far away. And it turns out we have a few connected friends, so. Somehow down the line he would.
And what sort of time era are we dealing with here? We're doing 20 years ago.
It's not long. I'd say 2011 or 12, maybe 12. Right. So quite early on. And then so she got in touch and turned up, and so she chatted, and she just said she'd like to do conferences with me. And so we've got a nice little thing. I've got the venue. I had a mailing list. I'd already done a few conferences.
Unfortunately, I never came to them in that era because I was going to the alternative view events, and some of them are held right at Heathrow, just up the road where we used to live in West London.
So did you get introduced to it through Kerry? Through to my
No,
conferences?
I think I got introduced to it some very esteemed wise gentleman called Colin Wolford.
Oh, Colin.
Because he actually stayed in my house. He decided to crash in my house. And he's an extremely wise and astute individual, because he bought my first bases videos, which were published on VHS tape.
It's amazing,
In a
isn't
box with tape in it and all, and it moves, and you get pictures
it?
and
Like a
sound
good
from.
VHS tape, does Colin?
Yeah. Well, he gave me he bought the thing in a shop, and paid money for them.
Oh,
And he
right.
actually handed them to me. Hello, this is what I bought. I never got a copy, because once you hand over something to a publisher, that's the last you'll ever hear.
Wow.
You're having a couple of
Got a
gargling.
helicopter going over me.
Yeah. It's just as soon as you finish drinking, you suddenly had this noise. I was wondering if it was.
I'd be off to the hospital if that was coming from my stuff.
So it's but this is fascinating, and I'm.
Yeah, so then basically this is what it is now. And I did do a few separate things from Kerry. I did carry on doing that, doing a few night watches and stuff like that. But now that it's just us sisters, because my mum passed, my mum was very happy for me to do whatever I wanted. Now it's just us sisters. It's very much like the sisters. Things have to be done for the benefit of the family. So I'm allowed to do my conference once a year.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I can't keep doing lots of conferences just for me. And so if I
mean, business is business, and bills have to be paid, and that's a pragmatic way, and it's a very nice way of a family working together.
That's it. But I might, the thing is, I'm fine to use rooms, and things could change. As I said, I might do some podcasts. I'm allowed to do little bits. But taking up the whole house with a conference several times a year, it wouldn't work for everybody, but I'm allowed to do my one. And so, yeah, I'm very happy working with Kerry. It works with a nice little arrangement, and it works very well. And we're both very respectful of each other and where our strengths are, and it's.
I think that's very positive, very wonderful.
Yeah, well, what it's like to run a conference. It's just
But didn't you do weekly meetings or monthly meetings or something like that?
It was that regular. No, I never got around to doing it like that. But we did try and do a few Sky Watches, and I used to do a couple of things a year, 2 or 3 things a year. And I think the main thing, actually, people do like coming and hearing things. What they most look forward to is chatting to each other after.
Yes, that's it.
They really do. No, I did. I love doing all the crop circle thing. I'd spent a lot of time going down to the Barge Inn and where your neck of the woods. But it's changed a bit now, hasn't it? Because the farmers are out and they cut them down before you've even set eyes on them to stop people.
Well, I think there certainly aren't any intelligence assets involved here. Maria Wheatley certainly wouldn't know any of them at all. Oh, sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. But how did the whole thing, what sort of highlights have you had in this, for the Food for Thought radio people? And this is Bases Actual and Food for Thought radio.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Oram. I absolutely loved having Mike Oram. Really,
he. I don't think he's with us anymore. The last time I talked to him, he was in a great deal of distress, and they weren't. He was. I think he has finally passed.
You think he has?
Yeah, that was a good few months ago.
Oh, I know you did message me about that.
Yeah,
it's really sad. Yeah, I mean, I chose
if you
him.
just to let people know in the Food for Thought audience, what's the significance of Mike Oram? I mean, he had an awful lot to do with the Warminster thing, the events happening at Warminster. Before we had crop circles, we had Warminster.
Yeah, that's right. So he just saw so many things, but he was an experiencer from a very young age as a child. So he had like a tiger that would come into his room. Obviously he was like alien, and yes, he did. He was part all those sightings in Warminster. He was very much involved in that, doing a lot of research.
That's the 1960s, just to clarify that. There was a lot happening there. And Warminster being a military base, you got a lot of UFOs flying around there. Nothing happening here, what Mr. Nick Pope would say.
Exactly. But he was sent symbols. So he's in his book, he gives you all the lists of these symbols that he'd be sent from from the aliens. He'd go through portals. They would open a portal up for him in the road, and he could just sort of, travel. And
that's where he got the illness. That a lot of use of portals doesn't work too well on your bioenergetic field
or something like that, wasn't it? He had.
But that's the key to the whole thing. Portals and ETs, they don't need tin can flying saucers to get here.
And when he went to Area 51, he was next thing he was they were stopped, and then they were sort of transported into the mountain, and he was sort of like in this underground base, and they did all sorts of various things to him. Again, he saw portals and things like that. So he's got he really's got quite a fascinating life, loads and loads of experiences. I mean, I read the book quite a long time ago, so I can't remember all the details, but it's definitely worth going and finding it and reading it yourself. If anyone that's listening.
I think I was at that conference, the International UFO Congress in Las Vegas, and then it moved to Laughlin, Nevada. And he was, shall we say, do come to the conference, and while you're here, let's have a wee trip to Area 51.
No, definitely. And he would be given messages, and he said that he was told that sort of things, basically, that things would be changing, times, the whole world changing type thing. 25, 26. So he's absolutely spot on. He got that absolutely spot on. Because everyone at that time, everyone was going, it was supposed to happen in 2012, and which was that I think he came in 2010 the first time. So we were all expecting 2012, and he said no, it'll be more like 2025, 2026.
Now, do go into that. That's a very interesting thing. It's obviously very relevant to us right now. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, so basically, I think a lot of people might know if they're watching that there's this idea that at some point we are going to be uplifted to another dimension through possible alien, however you want. Some people might think it's going to be God. I mean,
is this the sort of the rapture thing that the
Christian
the
rapture thing? Yeah, and
144,000 or whatever it is, because
they say 144,000.
Or something like that.
But that, we don't know if that's necessarily spot on, but definitely some sort of rapture, some sort of change. And that message hasn't just come through the alien messaging, because there's lots of people who see aliens,
the Christians talk about that a lot, the rapture or whatever.
Dead people I say they're dead people, but people talk to dead people and spirits, talk about it. People have had a near-death experience. So it's really in every aspect where you possibly having some sort of supernatural communication. It's coming through. And that's going to be happening very shortly. Now that I think they've been given some people are giving dates for next year for like an alien
land. A lot of this stuff, World Economic Forum stuff, all this, Fabian,
I know.
All this kind of stuff seems to be pointing...
Ahead, isn't it, Miles? The deep state and all that. And this is all connected, because the way the people that are running our planet, the ones in control of everyone at the moment, the deep state, some people think there could be negative ETs, but they're certainly not very good people.
I think this is part of what Food for Thought Radio is all about, because it is about food for thought, and it has a sort of a farming origin.
And we don't have to agree initially, but even for your listeners, but it's still worth giving it some thought. As you say, don't just go, don't believe in that. It's always worth...
Well, no, this is what it's all about. I'm very keen to hear you expand on all that.
Well, so they're all working to basically make us one global world, and I mean that's the worst thing you could ever do, because that's too much power and for anyone, too much wealth, and your voice. The bigger the government gets, the smaller your voice becomes. So we're actually better off with sovereignty, and even within sovereignty, you really want the control. That's why councils are so important, and because really that is where you get your power. But the message is, and through the Q team, which is through Trump, these people are working for the good ETs, and they are now counteracting everything that the deep state have put into action. And this is why you're seeing things like the invasion, the attack on Iran, because you go back to 1947 when they first did the coup in Iran and replaced the leader then. So it went from being Persia to Iran, and then they had the Ayatollah. So Iran is some sort of control and money pit for them. Also, you could, on a spiritual level, I think it's got a lot of portals, and there's a lot of energies that they're interested in there. And the Strait of Hormuz, also, they control the world through shipping. I can't explain how that works. I just know that through shipping insurance for oil, that's a massive control over people and countries. So Trump has now he's now basically cut off one of the major supplies of energy and money and power for the deep state. Venezuela was important because Venezuela, he's got Maduro. Maduro was helping to, the Dominion voting. So Dominion voting machines, he was helping use those to basically cheat in elections. And that's not just in America, that's worldwide, many, many elections worldwide. So that all these things that are coming, being knocked down one by one, and people thinking, what's he up to? And obviously, because you've got the media, like anti-Trump media, they always give it that slant. Whereas when America and UK are blowing up the Middle East, everyone was like, oh, this is a good thing. We're meant to be doing this. No, it wasn't a good thing at all.
Well, I think the last few days, we've now been fully drawn into this hissy fit in a tantrum, making the UK a primary target.
Oh, yeah. But I think we have to remember that this is all meant to be. So the UK is probably the tip of the pinnacle of the head of the snake.
Well, I think that's what Maria Wheatley's black triangle and white triangle thing, the city of London and other key areas, ancient places across the planet.
Because we've got that family in this. I don't know if I should say the name, the Rothschilds, but they're mainly based here, and they are kind of the ones that started it all, and so it all rests them. So they control everything through royal family, and they've been controlling America again since they put in the federal
Jekyll Island thing.
Yeah, the whole federal bank system in America. So they've had control. And
well, just to give a wee bit of a shout out on that, we've got to have two brilliant ladies talking about that on November the 5th in Devizes. That's Lucy Wyatt with her doom cult research on the Venetians, not the Phoenicians, but the Venetians.
Okay.
And some other troublemaker called Sandy Adams.
Okay, that'll be good. And
hopefully another troublemaker called Laura Eisenhower. And they'll be definitely stirring these hot, fiery women, causing trouble.
Definitely. One of the other things that relates to why they might be in the Middle East, I don't know, the WikiLeaks email. So this kind of a lot of people's journey on the deep state leading to the Q reveal comes from the WikiLeaks Julian Assange email. So he hacked in and found Hillary Clinton's conversations with various people. And one of them is her, I don't know who she's talking to, but I think it's a general. And she's basically saying, when they were in Iraq, I want you to find the tomb of Gilgamesh. So they were after all these important artifacts.
This is going back to the very, very old
Iraq war still. Yeah. That's so when they were doing the Iraq war and Hillary. So these emails go right back to that. And Julian Assange has got very, very interesting emails, hence why they were after him. And, reveals an awful lot. And so you can really see these people weren't good, when you actually see what Hillary Clinton and Obama, not back,
Obama, yeah.
What he was up to, they're not good. They're really not good people. And so, Trump and the Q team are working to take it out. And I do believe that will probably see a lot of the results of what they've been up to this year. But you have to, if you're taking down the deep state, it's not going to be easy. And it's also, you can't do it without a fight. And there has got to be a fight. And, that you can't just, he can't just being the president and that's enough. It doesn't work like that. Because
presidents come and go. There's obviously other people in there. And I think there's been a few things happening in our government on that, but maybe it's best not to talk about it. But yeah.
I agree. And it's this you've got to fix what's been broken and what's been changed. You can't just be in because the system has been rigged to still run without the president. You know what I mean? So if the president said it doesn't matter, the system will still go. And it was the one of the big things actually he did as soon as he got back in is he got Elon Musk to go in to the Treasury, and no one was allowed into the Treasury before. And
that's why he seems to be not well liked by certain people in the United Kingdom.
Their tune on him, haven't they? But they did a good job, and they basically found out where all the tax money, American tax money, was being funneled to, and all these NGOs. None of this money was going to any of those things. What they do with this money is they say, "Oh, it's going there. It goes there. The country it goes to, those politicians pocket a little bit, and then it goes back into the deep state's pockets, and all the politicians that allowed that to happen will get paid nicely, and they're all happy, and they're all getting very, very rich, and hence why they're all millionaires, because they're all
meanwhile the rest of us are going to hell in a handbag.
Yeah. And none of the money gets used where it should. So that's hence why our roads are awful, and our bins never get collected, and our schools are deteriorating because no one's putting any money back into the countries. They're stealing.
I think we're giving it all to some individual south of St. Petersburg, southeast of St. Petersburg, without wishing to say too much. A lot of southeast of St. Petersburg, or maybe even, anyway, certainly east of Prague.
Yes, I know. Yeah, exactly. And they've done a good on everyone with that. But I think people are waking up to that too. There's lots of people.
And how do you feel that the UFO Academy is having its role in that? I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, you've been doing this. It's so pleasant. I mean, people are going to. It's such a lovely place to be.
It is.
It's we can nip up and do some very nice restaurants. A couple of miles up the road. Yeah, once you get out of Watford, and then whatever. It's a really great place.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely. Well, I think where how this fits in, and what I feel it's doing is it's bringing people from all walks of life together, and it creates a community, and people that are just curious. And it doesn't have to just be about UFOs, because we don't.
No, it's not a UFO. Well, the conferences are not a UFO conference.
Not necessarily. Not in the way that some people might think.
Yeah.
We definitely touch on the spiritual and things that relate, might relate, or like, for instance, Maria's stuff isn't anything UFO, but if you're interested in UFOs, you're going to be interested in that. It's going to relate. You know what I mean?
Because all this stuff goes back way into
absolutely
the megaliths and Neolithic, whatever.
And those things were built probably because they were being visited by aliens, and that was their way of communicating with them. So it kind of does connect. So no, I think that's it. It's just we're just bringing people together, and then people love having the talks. You need a purpose, don't you? The talks are that purpose, and they create food for thought, like we're doing here, because people are listening. They're getting confirmation for things that they already know, and they enjoy hearing someone else knowing it, or it's new information and they're learning. And then we all get together in between with the breaks, and people really enjoy chatting, and they can do it safely without feeling judged. We had a couple of new speakers this time. They were a bit nervous, obviously. It's a new conference, and you're not sure how you're going to be received. And I said, the main thing is that you're not trying to convince them that these things exist. Everybody here already believes, so that's already out the way. Because it gets a bit boring. I don't know how you feel, but sometimes when you're trying to explain these things, and people don't believe it already, you keep going around that tedious argument, don't you, of trying the proof thing. You want to get beyond that, because you want to talk to people.
Well, I tell people never to believe it, just listen.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Yeah. It's such a boring sort of round.
Have I given away the end of that movie? Maybe I. Oh dear. Yeah.
But and I think what's so nice is when you come here, you can move past that with people, and you can talk about the meaning of everything and why is it happening, and it's so much deeper and more interesting. You have much more interesting conversations when you're here with people with like minds. Then
you have this other troublemaker called John Walson. He brings his high resolution night scope stuff, which allows them to see certain things an awful lot of people don't want you to see.
Yeah, I know.
Is that going to happen? Do you think that?
No. Yeah, well, he came not this year. This year we didn't. He saw things actually, and he shared it. He did see something, but the year before, 2 years before that, he brought a camera that you could look at in the daylight, and you can see
things up in space,
spectrums that you can't see with your own eyes.
Yeah,
and just hovering over the sort of
there's an awful lot of things flying around which aren't in the visual spectrum, and when you realize that they're all over military bases, flying around, minding their own business or not minding their own business.
It's absolutely fascinating. But then these things are moving, and they're suddenly splitting and traveling and moving, with intelligence and purpose, and yet you can't see them at all with your naked eye. But he has very kindly made me and my family a camera, or 2 cameras. So we're thinking we might try and do a bit of a few films, and share them, and people can watch with us and see what we see. Zodiac's quiet. My son's Zodiac.
I hope you're able to get your azimuth and your, oh God, I was trying to come up with some other clever technical word, but I can't. I hope your axis doesn't mess up with your azimuth.
Okay, whatever that looks like.
Get your azimuth sorted, your axis will sort it.
Yeah. Well, I think Zodiac also, he really likes all that kind of thing, and me, I don't really like technical. And it's quite heavy, the camera, so I'll be relying on him. But I think
what you're calling a camera is a fucking big telescope this size on a gimbal.
Well, we've got one that's
smaller. It's a reflector. It's not a telescope.
We've got one that's smaller, a bit like what your microphone there. So that's nice. But the other one is really big and is a proper telescope. Yeah. So, it's a reflector, as you say.
Yes, get it right. God's sake, get it right.
So that'll be really fun.
Well, I hope that all works out, and we can we can talk about this later. You're amazingly connected with all sorts of things, and it's great to have you on Food for Thought Radio, which and the Basis Project.
Yeah, well, it's great to come and let everyone know what we're doing here, and I guess should I tell people where they can find us if they want? FFTradio.com.
Okay. That doesn't mean we're effing swearing here, okay? As he put an Irish accent. I'm not too sure which part of the border that came from. But Food for Thought Radio, FFTradio.com, and I'm in there as one of the presenters, and this is my show, Bases Actual. That's meant to sound really impressive. You're meant to be sort of, woo, Teletubby, woo. Ooh. So, how do people get to see the UFO Academy and the videos and lectures that Kerry Cassidy does and stuff like that?
Kerry films it, so she puts them on her website, Project Camelot. You have to. There is a paywall for that.
Yeah.
But then she does. You can see much older ones for free on her website too. So there's a couple that she puts out. So if you're not sure, if you'd be interested, you can always look at the old ones and then see if that's the kind of thing you'd like to be part of. And
she has a right thinking sidekick here called Neil, and he's English. Yeah, and he's a producer. He's got a big catalogue of stuff himself. Yeah.
Oh, I know. He's lovely, and they're just really nice people too, and they're very approachable. So Kerry doesn't mind people coming up and talking to her and asking questions. It's
very casual, connected, easy, and nice.
It is. And the conferences are called Awake and Aware, but you can find them. You can find links to them on Kerry's Project Camelot, and also we sell the tickets at ufoacademy.com, which is our website.
Yeah.
And we update that each year. But it's a yearly thing, usually in July at some point. Just next July. And if you like it and you come along, you can put your name on my mailing list, and then I will let you know about future.
And you have a new brand of T-shirts, for crying out loud. Talk about the T-shirts.
I know. I don't have any on me at the moment, but
no, I'm not too sure what you're wearing. You did a little twirl at the start.
I'm wearing a little pink dress. Yeah, I've got my pink parasol.
Pink parasol with your pink glasses. That's pink wonderful, isn't that great?
Little pink dress. That is great.
And you also have dresses with alien spacecraft.
Oh, I love wearing alien. Yeah, I've got alien dresses, jumpers, alien jewelry. My living room is full of alien statues.
But
and
I think your living room is actually a fairy hideout for the fairies.
Oh. Yeah, because I'm.
You've got a massive thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's like
photo.
it's like
I've
that
even-
village in Wales, except it's all for fairies.
I've even got a tree now, Miles. I've got one of those. It's a fake one, but a cherry blossom tree that you can have for decoration, and I hang my fairies on that. I'm really into all of. I'm into fairies. I'm into UFO. I love it all. I had a fairy wedding. I got married with wings.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in the grounds here. So we had a fairy circle planted. I had a white witch come. She was called Imbal. And we did a hand fasting ceremony because I kind of did some research and I thought, how would fairies get married? And apparently the days before we had, religion, pagans did hand fasting ceremonies. So I thought, well, that's perfect. That's what I'll do. So that's what we did. And we did it here in the grounds, and we waited till dusk, and got everyone to have a lantern, and they put their lanterns. So we had all these lanterns in the ground. We had our fairy circle. Kids all dress up as fairies.
Now you've talked about pretend fairies and little models of them and fake trees, but listen, you can tell me nobody else will know. Have you actually met real fairies?
I haven't. No, unfortunately. Apparently, I've got psychic friends, and they say that they're in the trees. And when we were getting married, my psychic friend said he could see them in the trees, but I couldn't. So.
Well, you were maybe otherwise engaged with getting married.
Married, absolutely. I was.
And I'm sure there was no sight-reducing, imbibing chemicals, liquid or otherwise, involved.
No, not at that point. That happened afterwards. We all frolicked like fairies on the lawn and got very merry.
Well, that's great.
It is.
And it's wonderful, and everybody had a great time, and may you are able to continue that into the future.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a fairy?
I've been a Negamac, apparently. You don't want to meet one of those on a dark day or even a very bright day with several hundred miles between me and you on an open plain with an extremely fast car.
Okay. Wow. Is it big then?
It's the alien in Independence Day, and they are the enemy. That's called a Negamac, and they are the enemy of the Draco Collective.
Oh.
And they seem to be popping around. There's people seeing them,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just me, and that's when I had red hair, and I was never a ginger. We're not cracked that joke.
You had red hair when you first came here.
Yeah, I did. I had strawberry blonde, for God's sake.
Strawberry blonde, yeah. You were.
I think there's a little bit at the back there. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw a few blonde bits. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really great seeing you. The UFO Academy is fantastic, and it's up in High Elms Manor. Tell people where it is and if they want to come or whatever. Well, no, we'll leave that to the magazine, to the website.
Yeah. So we're in Watford. We're High Elms Manor. You can find us. I'll give you the postal. Actually, I won't give the postcode out here.
Yeah.
If you want to go and find it, they can. But
it's that little bit of Watford, just under the M1, as the M1 sort of comes under the M25, and then you go up to St Albans
So it's more Abbots Langley, but we're sort of kind of in no man's land around Abbots Langley and Watford and St Albans.
That's brilliant. Okay.
All right, thanks, Miles.
It's wonderful. This is great.
See you and speak.
And you're looking fantastic.
And so are you.
And you're all girly and everything else and pink and all that sort of stuff.
And you're very maley, and you've got a great T-shirt on.
Yeah, well, that's another one,
Yeah. The Barge Inn. I miss that place.
The barge. No, that's no. Good. Well, we can't be
then,
frolicking
Miles.
about like this. I'll have to get on and get this on the radio this evening.
Well, maybe I'll pop down and see you, as I said.
You're more than welcome. The studio, we've got lights here flashing like hell. So
Okay. All right, then.
that means we had an event. Brilliant. Good to see you, darling.
Nice to
You
chat.
take care.
See you, darling. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now, this is when we have this thing. Who can find the end program before the other person?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Have a
It's
look,
down
let's
here
see.
somewhere.
There's
I'm just
chat.
getting it down. Is it going to hit any time? That's it. Exit for all. Bye.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Natural Sentient podcast. I am Slavka, the Natural Sentient. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are broadcasting live from the Awake and Aware conference in Watford, UK. We have a wonderful time. I'm here with Miles Johnston from Basis TV, and we have fantastic guest with us, Maria Wheatley. They are going to tell us what's coming up, so stay tuned. So today, here we are at the Awake and Aware conference. It's Sunday, July 26th, and I have with me wonderful speakers, Miles Johnston and Maria Wheatley. So welcome.
Welcome.
How do you find the conference?
Well, I think it's extremely exciting. Quite frankly, this morning, Maria Wheatley delivered her finest, I think one of the finest, most animated and most informative talks that we've had for quite some time. And Maria Wheatley is a very professional researcher, and it was a wow moment. So we had a wow moment this morning.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that, Miles. Yes, we're at High Elms in Watford. We're at High Elms in Watford, and we're in beautiful, stunning grounds. And Kerry Cassidy always produces and gives a really good conference. And that's where we are now, and there's speakers today, and there were speakers yesterday.
Yeah, the
Yes.
lineup is wonderful. I really enjoyed your presentations.
This is at the UFO Academy.
Yes.
And the UFO Academy operates out of High Elms Manor, formerly Garston Manor, and it's a magnificent setting. It's really good, and it's really good fun. And I should stop acting. I should start being more sincere. But I was producing a interdimensional disclosure thing because we're focused on this 3D thing. And therefore, the only way aliens can come here is in a tin can with, whatever. But there was a team of people who did a lot of research near West Kennet Longbarrow and Avebury and Silbury Hill and Bicester. I always called it Bicester. And this team did an awful lot of work over 10 years doing interdimensional ETs. And ET being a silly word because it confines you to extraterrestrial, thereby it's a trick word. And when you're dealing with other beings on a daily basis for over 10 years, and this research team was actually really well reported on by the Birmingham UFO group, and this is all happening at Avebury. And Maria had an interdimensional experience at West Kennet Longbarrow. Do you want to talk about that?
Well,
What would you like to share?
What I would like to say about the Avebury area, it's a very positive area. I've taken people from all around the world hundreds and hundreds of times around Avebury. So I want people to understand that it's a very positive area as well. And it's a really good reconstructed area, West Kennet Longbarrow. It's a shame it's not in its original state to begin with. But yes, I've had my own experiences around the area.
I have to say, talking about reconstruction, when we had a blog thing. I'm the Basis Project, by the way, basistv.com. And when you mentioned you had a certain experience at West Kennet Longbarrow, it seems to have been a coincidence that the place was closed down and did a whole lot of re-engineering of the area and changed the floor level.
No, they didn't do that. So I had two ladies from Sedona, from the United States, with me on a private one-to-one tour. West Kennet Longbarrow had been cordoned off with very large 12-foot fencing all around it, and I've never seen that before. And I've been interacting with the landscape, one of the longest researchers in the area, for over 35 years. I know these sites like the back of my hand. So I asked the person present, who said he was an archaeologist, please could we enter West Kennet? And at first he said no. Then he said yes and allowed us in. Then I realised that they seemed to be moving a stone at the far chamber end, which is the western chamber, and those stones have been in situ for 4,500 years, possibly longer, 6,000 years for example. And that's when I realised they were probably looking for something, because the archaeologists then went to say that the stones at the front of the monument were blue stones. They're not. They're sarsen stones. I've studied archaeology. I know exactly where those stones came from. So he didn't know the types of stones. So he wasn't an archaeologist. Yet he was the one running the so-called dig.
On other news in terms of long barrows, talking to Barry Fitzgerald and people like that, in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, one of the key things about these events, if you want to activate a portal, for want of a better word, you would use acoustic resonance. Yeah. And if you're going to change the layout of something, you're going to change the acoustic.
They all have, all long barrows have been changed, all of them, because they're reconstructions. And the ones in Ireland, apart from a few cork cards, are in that. Now, what the resonance was discovered, and this was discovered and written about by Paul Devereux, is 111 hertz. That's the resonance frequency of all long barrows, as well as the hypogeum in Malta. And it's the frequency that will actually put your brain waves into a very relaxed alpha state. My own experiments at Avebury, stone circles, where I had my left brain monitored against my right brain with megalithic energy. So forget about earth energies, forget about lays, think about megalithic energy. As I touched a particular nodal point on the stone, my brain went straight to delta. Yeah, bang. Delta.
Is that delta force, as in the delta force?
No, it's not in the delta force, actually. It's where you go into a very, very deep state. So what I'm saying about ancient sites, it's not just the 111 hertz frequency.
My bedroom is 222.
I think it's 666.
That's Miles' humor.
Yeah, and so I think it's more about the megalithic energy at these sites, because they're plugged into the earth energy, they pull that energy up and then they transmit it, and that's far more powerful than any form of earth energy. And my results were monitored and analysed by the Monroe Institute in the USA.
Wow, and you transmutate light, these areas, these facilities, I'm going to use that term, facilities, i.e. constructed for a purpose using a form of technology, right? Will translate light into acoustic waves. And you have also monitored electric oscillating waves, as opposed to electromagnetic. I'm always very distinctive about that.
I think, we're only just beginning to understand what our ancestors did. And when we look back to the Neolithic period of long barrows, court tombs, in Ireland, for example, cairns in Scotland, then we're looking at the long-skulled people. They're the Neolithic. When we look to the round barrows and some of the stone circles, we're looking to completely different civilization, which is the Bronze Age beaker culture. So we need to think about our ancestors. Who were they? What were they doing? And what were they building? And that's where I come in. I know exactly which part of history that is. And recently I've been exploring the long skull even more and have quite a few revelations I will be probably talking about.
And you have a book about that?
Yes, I've got the secret history of Stonehenge and the elongated skulls of Stonehenge, which is my essay about one Neolithic woman of that era. But what Miles focuses on, I'm kind of the ancient sites.
She looks very good for her age. I mean, she's
you're more into Germancy.
Yeah.
A long time ago, 1990s, somebody contacted me and saying that my father, this person's father, had been in MI6 or the Secret Intelligence Service. At the close of World War II in Europe, they picked up some information that there were laboratories that the Germans were working on changing humans into something else. And all of that technology was essentially taken over to this country. Project Paperclip has a lot of clips in it, let's put it that way. And they started making these changed humans, or strange looking humans, into what they call program generated life forms. And the reason for that was, if you're going to create a life form for some purpose or other, you've got to be able to control it. So you've got to program it, and it's got to obey those instructions and carry it out. And these looked remarkably like greys. So we have a situation where, as long ago as World War II, Britain knew about the Germans doing something very serious with genetics, And this associates that with all the concentration camps and why certain races and certain types of beings and all sorts of different people were used for this. And in the last couple of days, we've just received a disclosure document talking about the new humans, the human Mark II, whatever it is. So the point is that we've been dealing with all of this deep underground and also in plain sight, right across the bases in this country. And this plugs into a much wider, older network of control and systems and technologies which all interact with the ancient world and with the present world, and it's interdimensional. So it's not restricted to 3D. It's if you have 3D and 4D and 5D and 6 or 7D, the three-dimensional distance thing is irrelevant. So this idea of coming from a galaxy far, far away, or from a universe in a different realm or a different developmental state, interfacing with us, if you know the right keys and the right technology, you can gate between them. And one of the people involved with that sort of technology was a soldier, now well in the public domain for 20 years, a guy called John Irwin. He was part of a special forces in the 1950s where he was trained one step beyond death. So that means taking the 3D body and the soul or the energetics of our living being, sort of taking that bit out, modifying that bit, doing this to that, and then sticking them back together again. It's a little bit more sensitive to that. But he was involved with a special forces team in the Middle East where they went in and raided a Bilderberger type meeting, if you can understand the World Economic Forum. And for instance, why would the World Economic Forum have a mock-up of Göbekli Tepe in Davos about 10 years ago? Why would ancient megalithic or Neolithic sites be relevant to a bunch of modern day World Economic Forum industrialists? What connection is there? And that is the creation of new biological beings that they can control. So it's our opportunity now to do an awful lot of wake up, smell the coffee, look at the ancient past, because the ancient past is just another vibration away from where we are now. So we can use all this stuff. And thanks to Maria Wheatley and women written out of history, shall we talk about that?
Yes. Miles has kindly helped me to make and produce.
You wrote it.
I wrote it, yeah, I wrote it.
And you wrote it as well.
And I wrote it as well.
And you spaketh it.
And I spake it.
Yes.
It's women written out of history, and it's about power women that have literally been known to the historians that are written out of history because they were a woman. And I start off in the prehistoric times and they go all the way up to about the 17th century, talking about incredible women from the Vikings, from the Anglo-Saxons, Neolithic, Bronze Age, right up to the first witch trial ever conducted in the British Isles. And we'll be doing that for basistv.com, so keep your ears to the ground for a very powerful feminine expression of history that you shouldn't know about.
Don't talk about the swords.
I don't talk about the swords.
Swords. She had 3 swords. Lethal swords.
Off with his head.
And you need to polish them up, sweetheart.
I do need to polish them up.
That's a little bit of an inside joke. But this is brilliant. I'm really, really happy to have a lot of power women on stage. We've got a conference coming up in November, and we're going to have some real action power women. Sandy Adams, Lucy Wyatt, who's found this ancient cult, a very old cult, the Doom cult. And we have a big problem with these cults and these insiders, very bad people doing things right up to the present day. And Sandy Adams doing the present, Lucy Wyatt doing the foundation of this post-Vatican. They were so bad they were chucked out of the Vatican and they did other things. Lucy Wyatt, brilliant. Sandy Adams, brilliant. Laura Eisenhower, fantastic. We had her just a few weeks ago, and this weekend she's talking down in Glastonbury, but that's another thing. So the idea is to have, she talked about Eisenhower and how Eisenhower was misquoted and misrepresented after World War II. And remember, we had that, the great military-industrial complex speech that he gave when he left power. So there's an awful lot of stuff coming now into plain sight. We've got to really deal with this information, learn about it, understand it, and move forward in a positive way. And we'll have more very powerful women at bases. And today you did a hell of a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely amazing.
And this is High Elms Manor, and it's Kerry Cassidy's conference, Awake and
Kerry's
Aware. And it's at a wonderful setting here, and there it is.
Yeah, let's highlight that this is organized by the UFO Academy and Project Camelot by Kerry Cassidy. Yeah, so thank you for sharing your amazing information. It's really remarkable. And
well, this is the first time I've been on camera with Maria.
let's share. I love it. Thank you very much. And please share your website and the information how people can connect with
basistv.com
you.
and esotericcollege.com.
And the aveburyexperience.co.uk.
Amazing.
Watch your chips in the presence of this woman.
You're so funny. Love you too. Thank you very much for coming. Much love to everyone.
Thank you.